I'm Kelly Smith, and I'm the founder of Be Brave Coaching. On today's video, I want to talk about needs, how to figure out what your needs actually are, but more importantly, how to ask to have them met in your next relationship. If you are someone that's been in something toxic, something abusive, something that just wasn't healthy, it's probably going to be really difficult for you to figure out what that is or what those really are for you. After being in something so terrible, it's hard to figure out on our own what our needs are. It's hard to meet our own needs and learn how to self-soothe on our own to begin with. Because normally if we're in something toxic or something abusive, it's because we most likely grew up around stuff like that and it's sort of what we're used to. So once you get out of something toxic and once you decide, I need to break the cycle. I'm sick of feeling this way. I don't want to feel this way anymore. My whole life it's been kind of chaos. I'm ready for something different. And this shouldn't happen just because you want a relationship. This should happen because you want to be healthy as a human all the way around, not just so you can meet someone. Because our goal in life isn't to just be with someone. It's to be whole humans all on our own. So how do we figure out what our needs actually are? Well, it's through the healing process that we figure out what we need in life, what we need day to day. We already know we need food, we need shelter, we need water. Those are our basic life needs. Human contact is something that we also need, but doesn't necessarily have to come from a romantic relationship. It can come from friends, it can come from coworkers, it can come from just saying hello to people on the street, volunteering, getting yourself out there and doing things to better your community. But while we're healing, while we're going through this process, it's extremely painful. It's painful to sort of admit that you may have stayed in something too long, something that wasn't good for you. Maybe you exposed your kids, your friends, your family to someone that wasn't good for them. And it's a hard thing to kind of deal with. But let's fast forward. Let's say you got out of your toxic relationship, you severed the relationships you had with the previous toxic people in your life, friends, family, etc. Sometimes it's a nasty ass coworker, good riddance. So you've gotten rid of some of these people. You're now feeling whole. You're now feeling like I can go to the movies on my own. Now I can go to a restaurant on my own, with your mask obviously. But you're able to kind of venture out there and do things that you want to do without being accompanied by anyone else. And now it's time to date. Okay, dating is fun. I'm not gonna lie, dating is fun. It's scary at first because you're not really sure what's out there. You're not really sure of which way to go, which way is up, which way is down. If you haven't dated in a long time, you're faced with ghosting and breadcrumbing and bench warming and oh my god, all these crazy things that you kind of have to figure out what they are and all that. But say you meet someone and you really like this person and it's like, okay, I have feelings for this person. I think this is a great person. This might be a really good person for me. The first thing I'll tell you to do is slow it down. Take your time, really get to know someone before you have sex. Sorry, but that's just kind of how it is. Get to know somebody before you jump into some kind of a relationship. Get to know somebody, how they look when they're drunk, when they're angry, how they are around their friends, and that's super important. How they act with their parents, and that can sometimes be a tough one because if you have a toxic mom, for example, and you're a dude, and the woman is like, oh, how's your relationship with your mom? Oh yeah, I don't have one. Women will perceive that as a red flag, when in reality, it's not. So it's tough to explain a severed relationship with your toxic mom to someone that you might be dating. So for more advice on that, I can help you. But the big thing is figuring out what your needs are. And throughout the healing process, that's something you should be working on, but it's something that we don't really pay attention to because it's not on the forefront of our minds. It's feeling like a whole human is the one thing we're trying to do. We're not thinking along the lines of a relationship. And we don't normally think of these things until we're walking that path. And once you start walking that path and it's like a one way, it's like, how do I do this? How do I even know what my needs are? Which is a big reason why we don't rush into something. We spend our time getting to know someone, understanding who they are, and then we figure out what our needs are. We figure them out, and then at some point we have to communicate those needs to someone. We have to say, hey, this is the sort of relationship that I was in. These are the things that I need. I know if you are a man or a woman and you're about to date someone who was in something abusive, there are certain things that you need to understand about them. They are most likely going to be huge givers. You will give them something little and they're going to think you're the most amazing person in the world. And you may think this person's overreacting or what's wrong with this person. But you have to understand that someone who's been in a toxic, abusive relationship has had their basic human needs sort of stripped from them, sort of taken away. Where birthdays are gone, they were never celebrated. Christmas was something that was always destructive. The day-to-day sort of needs have not been met. So you can literally give somebody who's been in an abusive relationship a birthday card, and they're gonna think you're like, you hung the moon. So you have to understand that they're going to be givers, they're going to want to feel something, and even if it's little, they're like sponges, where it's like the littlest thing is gonna just make them expand with happiness. So it might seem like, oh, this person, like, what, are they serious? Like, they're happy about this? Yeah, they're literally happy about that. Another thing that they need is transparency and communication, understanding. So transparency is maybe explain to them a little bit more of like what's going on in your life, who your friends are, this, that, the other thing. Understand sort of the things that they've been through. And of course, this won't happen until a little bit later on in a budding relationship where you are both on the same page. Like, yeah, I think this might be something that I want to work toward. Let's talk a little bit more about the things you've been through and vice versa, so you can understand past traumas and history of what people have gone through. Communicating is huge for people who have been in something toxic. Some of them may come at you anxious, and if that's not something you can handle, end it. It's not something you can really change. It's something you could be patient through if the person who's been abused understands that they're showing these behaviors and they want to change. So it's really understanding what you can handle and what you can't. And for the person that's been abused, saying to someone, these are my needs. I like to be hugged. I like to be told I love you, or whatever it is. If you're going through this and you're explaining this to somebody and they just can't seem to do those things, you have to speak up. You have to speak up and you have to say, these are the things that I need. Whether you like it or not, I need these things. And it's okay if you cannot provide them to me, but I need to know if this is something you can or cannot do. So being in something abusive, you're not used to having a voice. So when you first ask for some of your needs to be met, you're going to have a shaky voice. You're not going to feel super confident. You're not going to be like, these are the things I need, give them to me or I'm out of here. Usually that's not how that goes unless someone really hasn't fully healed and they understand like their emotions a little bit more. So it's trying to accept that somebody who's been hurt in this way will have a difficult time asking for their needs to be met. And sometimes they won't even know what their needs are. So it's being patient if you really want something to work. And if you